Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner. I'm the founder and publisher of Selling Power Magazine. And today we have the great pleasure of meeting with Tom Stanfill. He is founder and CEO of ASLAN Training. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Gerhard. Always good to see you.
Is the book titled Unreceptive or Receptive?
The title visually is nice because it focuses on the problem and the solution, because it crosses out, as you can see, crosses out but the title of the book is Unreceptive.
Are you talking from a customer perspective or a salesperson perspective?
Well, actually, it's funny. It's both. The main focus is, the premise of the book is that the customers are rapidly growing more and more unreceptive to sellers. And the fact that sellers are amping up the volume or trying to sell harder or learn new methodologies, which all backfire, because when you try to influence people who are emotionally closed, they don't become open, they actually become more closed. So the book is about addressing the 5 main barriers of unreceptive customers and prospects. And so the good news is, if they learn some simple approaches and techniques, they never have to feel like a seller.
So what is the number one barrier?
A number one barrier, I really think it's the perception of you. Customers believe sellers are the hero of the story, and that they're there to sell something, and they're compensated to do that. And so they're resisting a sales pitch, not a solution. I would say the second probably biggest barrier is changing beliefs. So once there's a receptive audience and they're willing to sit down at the table with you and they've invited you in, I think delivering your solution recommendation in a way that gets them to actually change their beliefs, I think, is the second most difficult barrier.
What you're saying is that salespeople need to learn how to change their own beliefs so they can be more effective, efficient with changing the customer's beliefs.
Exactly right. The central analogy of the book is that if the soil's not fertile, the seed doesn't matter. In sales, we're one-dimensional. We think message, 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 argument, 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 case study, case study, case study. But we need to shift our focus and look at this other dimension called receptivity. I love the study that McKinsey published about a year ago that says the percentage of customers who want to engage a seller when evaluating solution has dropped 120%, from like 69% wanted to talk to a seller down to 30% in the last 3 years. Because I think a lot of times sellers really don't know how to change how they're talking about their solution in terms of the customer's point of view.
Right.
You know, I've been selling my solution for 27 years now. I still have to spend hours in important presentations thinking about how I'm going to position everything I say from the customer's point of view, and then sharing disruptive truths, things they don't know about, a better way to solve their problem, and then talk about what's proprietary and unique about what I offer. As soon as you start talking about the customer, they will always listen. And so that's very difficult. It's easy to understand, but it's a counterintuitive approach.
In part 3 of your book, you talked about the third barrier.
Yeah.
Covering the unfiltered truth. How do you do that?
The first thing you need to do is set your agenda aside and what we call take the trip. I always think about the globe. And when I'm in a situation where I have the challenge of influencing, that always means there's 2 points of view. There's my point of view and there's their point of view, and they're polarized. I'm on the North Pole, they're on the South Pole. And what we need to do is leave our position and take the trip and come all the way down to their point of view and listen to them until we have, and I think this is the most important thing that we can do when we influence, until we have an oh moment. Because anytime there's a differencing point of view, there's something that you don't understand.
Based on what you just said, how should salespeople deal with customer objections?
I love that question. There's 2 types of objections. There's false objections and there's real objections. So false objections they're objecting a sales call. So the more you try to overcome, the more you reinforce the belief that they don't want to talk to you. And so there's a real simple framework that we teach that ultimately is about dropping the rope. In other words, instead of playing tug of war and trying to pull them to your position, you drop the rope, you release the resistance, you change the conversation. So it's a way of not fighting or leaving, but staying and creating receptivity. And then the simple answer to real objections, okay, you ready? This is going to blow you away. the best way to respond to a real objection is to tell them the truth. The problem is, and this goes back to earlier what we said about the challenge sellers have, we don't know the truth. If you know the truth, if you say, well, why should I pay more? Well, because my boss told me to tell you that you should pay more. And this are the 3 things I'm supposed to tell you to pay more, versus I'm going to tell you why it's in your best interest to pay more. Or if it's not, I'm going to tell you it's not. And so I think that's the beginning of a great response is, yes, we need to create receptivity to the response by listening and empathetically acknowledging and dropping the rope. But ultimately, when we deliver our response, it's just really about telling them the truth. Very early in the process, the rep needs to be leading the customer. So for example, I sell sales training. I'm the one that should lead them through the process of figuring out what's the best way for them to determine the solution they need, what gaps they have, whether they need us or what type of solution, what needs to happen at the transformation and sustainment, what content. And so when you have that sort of proactive mindset where you know the process and are leading it, you don't get a lot of, okay, we'll talk to you later and get back to you. And you go, okay. And then we follow up and we say, how are we doing? Did you like okay, well, let me know.
This is a fascinating topic. I think it's a great book. It's a great read. I recommend anybody who has a few dollars to invest in sales intelligence, go and buy Tom's book on Amazon.com. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Gerhard. Great seeing you, and appreciate your supporting the book.